Good morning. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche organization with your daily video update for December 17th, 2025. I'm going to look at a simple question today, but one which many people are afraid to even think about. And that is, are NATO's deluded leaders actually planning for war, a war against Russia? Now, I'm attaching a link to a video that's just been produced by the NATO Defense College, and it's called The Future of War, or actually its title is From Foresight to Warfight. And it will answer the question. They are preparing for war. They actually believe that war is imminent and that they have to prepare for it, which means what? It means a battle to prepare you to accept the idea that we're going to war. Now, there are wars going on around the globe. There are assassinations, there is terrorism, there are efforts being made to overturn governments, to convince governments to accept the idea of permanent warfare. But the video shows that the planning is at an advanced stage in the minds of the NATO leadership. And this means the European Union and the leaders of Europe, who can't accept the idea that the empire that has nourished them, has given them power for over 500 years, is about to end. Now, I'm not saying it's imminent. It could be. It's been disintegrating for quite a while. It's been in an end phase, especially since the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s. But what we're actually looking at is the end of an economic system, an imperial economic system, which gave them the power to impose their will. And after 1991, the idea was there would be a sole superpower that everyone, every country, would have to submit to the imperial dictates of the so-called rules-based order. Now, the documentary, it's a short one, so take the 3.5 minutes to watch it. But it starts with this idea of we have to prepare for war, but what kind of war? And it states right at the beginning, manipulating the opponent's emotions and understanding will be just as important as denying access to our spaces. The human mind will be a battle space in its own right. The human mind, your mind, is being targeted by the psychological warfare divisions of NATO. And this is based on years of work done by such prominent institutions as the Tavistock Institute, which is designed to carry out what they call the battle for the mind. Now, this battle was defined by the new chief of MI6, who said on December 15th, "We are being contested on every front, every front. We are operating in a space between war and peace." And her speech was designed to rally the forces of the British Empire to take this message to Europe and to the United States, and especially to overturn President Trump's efforts to get a peace agreement, an end to the war between Russia and NATO. And what she said is the front line is everywhere. Now, this is psychological warfare. This is what the British have been using, especially since the 1890s to the present, an effort to assert their dominion based on the superiority of their intellect and the inferiority of the rest of the world. The imperial concept, in geopolitical terms, is based on conditioning the opponents of the empire to accepting the idea that they can't win, that they're inferior, and the best they can get is a position as a happy servant. Now, that goes against the American idea, but it reflects the hysteria of the establishment over the collapse of their system. And they're reacting to something that most of you haven't seen, that we are at the end of an era, the end of a 500 to 600 year era in which European colonialism has dominated the world. Now, it's worth noting when we talk about 500 years that 250 years have followed, 250 years ago was the American Revolution. In fact, this coming year will be the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And what the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution defined was an anti-colonial war in which people battled for their own sovereignty over their lives. It was not just a revolt, but a commitment to a new form of government, one which was shaped by George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, John Quincy Adams, and others, based on the idea of establishing a republic, of institutions of self-government in which representatives of the people are chosen to make the laws under which they live, and laws which are based on inalienable rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Now, this was an enormous upsurge, transformation in the history of the world. The American Revolution established a new system of republican form of government. And the oligarchy never gave up. The oligarchy assumed it was their right to govern, that they had the right to control access to trade, currency, that it was up to them to decide which countries could live well and which countries would be suppressed. And this continued up until the 20th century. But starting in the middle of the 20th century, this battle was taken up again at the Bandung Conference of the Non-Aligned Nations. And this has been a steady battle against imperial domination. And there have been a number of fights. The United States, unfortunately, was on the wrong side in some of them. But at present, the issue of Ukraine is, will the European establishment be able to continue to use warfare, and not just kinetic warfare, but psychological warfare, to keep the poorer countries, to keep the global south, and to keep the population in Europe and the United States under the domination of the European establishment. That's the fight that we're in. And as you'll see from this NATO document, they think they can win the fight based on psychological warfare. Now, with the emergence of a new strategic architecture, there's a potential to put an end to this 500 years of imperial domination. And when we talk about a strategic architecture, what we're talking about is what Putin and Lavrov and others call an indivisible security guarantee, which simply means that every nation has a right, a sovereign right, to defend itself and to act under conditions to improve the general welfare of their own population. If there are disagreements, you have negotiations, you have diplomacy. This is what the establishment of the European oligarchy won't accept. And unfortunately, we have some of those knuckleheads in our own country, in the United States. The neocons, the Marco Rubios, who try to solve these problems with wars and battleships and so on. Now, Putin has stuck to his principle that he will not accept anything less than legitimate security guarantees for Russia, while at the same time offering that to Ukraine. And the problem is that Zelensky, the former actor, is completely controlled by the European establishment, and they're telling him, you fight till the last Ukrainian. In fact, people like Lindsey Graham are delighted to say we're going to fight to the last Ukrainian and proclaim that's a battle for liberty and democracy. No, it's a battle to extend the control of a collapsing oligarchy. And it's now up to the American people and the people of Europe to decide if this system is going, the system of the American independence is going to continue, or will we be subverted and placed under an oligarchical imperial system with no sovereignty, no rights to representative government, no rights to freedom of speech. We already see that under attack for many, many years. So the thing to realize is the other side is vulnerable. Why are they fighting wars? They have no economic policy. They're subordinating their economy to military buildup. And once you do that, you're on a permanent course toward war. Now, I'll be discussing this today with Helga Zepp-LaRouche with our weekly dialogue. It's going to start at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. There's a link to it in the description section. I also have a link for you to this short NATO war documentary, and as well to Mrs. Zepp-LaRouche's statement saying that now is the time to withdraw from NATO. So we've got our work cut out for us. We've got to take this degenerate oligarchy and remove them from positions of power by placing the power back where it's supposed to be under our system of government, in the hands of representatives of the people.